a breakdown that happened and how you handled it, a phone call that you think would be helpful to others, like recommending a stylist or for a new client, or questions to ask, or how you figure out what they need and who's the best for that, an unhappy client issuing a complaint, how to listen, how do you make it right, a client shows up at the wrong place, what do you do, examples of things that caused breakdowns or otherwise that we can discuss so other people can learn from it as well.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Good
You're
morning,
welcome.
everybody. And for those of you tuning in afterwards, good morning and welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is the beginning of a conversation around great guest experiences where we are on a mighty campaign to make everyone's experience with us radically different. And we had some incidences in the last month, couple Yelp reviews, couple client letters, emails, some feedback, which I absolutely love. I love getting feedback, and even when it's negative feedback, even when it's a bad review, because it's an opportunity for us, number one, to make it right. It also is an opportunity for us to look at some things that we might be missing or might be off the mark with, and something that we some area where there was a breakdown. And especially now, there's a heightened awareness right now. There's a very heightened awareness around value and making sure that people get so much for coming to Robert of Philadelphia, making sure they get more than what they paid for. So we're having this conversation, and this is an ongoing conversation. It's not just about me telling you or talking to you or anybody telling you what to do or how to do it. This is more about you looking for areas where you can talk about on these calls, or however we do these meetings in person, what it was that impacted the guest in a way that turned a situation around, or that thwarted a situation from happening, or that had them have an experience that was beyond normal. So much of what the world is going to is, everybody talks about AI, automation, self-checkout, self-check-in. Everything is about moving the human factor away from the interaction. And in the positions that we're in the position of the middleman, so to speak, or our concierge team. All of you are a part of that guest interaction, and a necessary part of it, because we, even on the new software, there's an actual setting or a module that you could put an iPad at the front and literally have everything, have them check themselves in, have them check themselves out, and do it from an automated perspective. And that's more where the rest of the world is headed. In our industry, or for us, that is the opposite of what we want to do. We want to have one more opportunity to rock their world, to make people feel great in a special way, to do something unique and special for people, so that we don't just become a place that people go to just one more thing they have to do on their to-do list: get their hair cut because it's something they had to do, get their hair colored because it's something they had to do. While those things, are the core of what we do, we have to be doing things for people that that interrupt their daily flow of life. And some of you heard me say this before. We've had these conversations before, but this is at a whole other level. And I mentioned that we had a couple of Yelp reviews that were unfavorable, not good. We had a couple of emails that were, actually simple kind of fixes. They weren't really monumental breakdowns, but to the guest in the guest world, they were a really big deal. And it's not to indict anyone or that it's anyone's fault or anyone's to blame. That's not what it's about. This is more of a wake-up call for us to put the awareness back on, well, what is our true role? What is our role? And in the message it said, and what Marina wrote, it said, come back with some examples of, circumstances where you personally did something that impacted the guest in a way that was not ordinary. Now, it doesn't even need to be a breakdown. It could be the simplest of things that you did for a guest, but that we want to create a database or have an ongoing conversation around what those things are always. So, whether it was you recognize that it was somebody's birthday and you know, had a cupcake with a candle in it and you brought it over to the guest while they were there. Um, Whether it was that you gifted them a conditioning treatment because they were having a rough day, or you just did something randomly kind, or you were on the phone with them and it was their very first visit and you wanted to really surprise them with something. So you gifted them a blowout and wrote some notes about it in the computer about what was going on in their life, so that when they came to the salon, they were surprised by the generosity, the care or concern that you had for them, or the way that you listened to them. So this is there's no formula for any of this, and that's the point. Like, there's no manual we can write up and say, well, if this happens, do this, and if that happens, do that, and follow this pathway for when a guest is upset, or when a guest is happy, or when a guest is giving you feedback. There isn't a manual. There isn't a right way to do it. It's got to be a genuine, authentic expression of what you want to do to contribute to another person's life, to impact them in a way that makes them remember you. And even if it's like having a conversation, Marina was telling me about a conversation she was having with a new guest. So it wasn't just a check in, check out, sit down, have a coffee, have a water. I did my job. Now I'm going to go back to what I'm doing. There was actually, a relatedness conversation that she was having with a new guest about the origin of the name of Robert of Philadelphia. And the guest was then sharing with her about her husband was a stylist and he had a name uh, around his reputation, and how he got his name around his reputation. So they had this banter, this conversation about how Robert of Philadelphia's name got to be and where the name evolved from. And the woman shared about where her husband's name came from. And it was something that the woman left the salon with beyond just uh, having her hair cut. It was a simple little thing, but it was an engaging conversation that was around the history of Robert of Philadelphia, just out of the natural way to talk. Now, that might be normal and natural for some of you, but it's not. It's something that interrupts the normal flow to have an engaging conversation with a brand new guest, that you get related to somebody that way. That's something really simple. It could be, a call that you have with somebody who's new on the phones, that they're telling you how they found out about us, and they know a guest who already comes, and you know that guest. So you start having a conversation about them and what their hair's like, and a different way of getting related to people, other than just cut to the chase. Let's do our job. Let's get it done. We have allotted more time to everyone by the way our structure is, so that we can take the time to be with people and to engage with them in a new and different way. So I'm not accepting that it's like okay to just minimum acceptable is to make sure you balance your drawer, make sure you check people in, make sure you check them out. There's got to be something beyond that, that has people have a memorable experience with their interaction with you. What is it that you're doing? I had to listen to some calls recently when a guest was talking about how she was quoted a particular price. She was upset when the price was different um, when she checked out. And in listening to the call, I didn't hear anything remarkable about the guest's first phone call. And I get that you're not always going to be able to do that. But I didn't hear anything that was like a thrill or excitement that this is a brand new guest excited to call us for the very first time. And it was just for a blowout. Okay. Now that could be interpreted a lot of ways. It's just a blowout. The woman was checking us out, and the the interaction, I went back to the call because of the fact that she said I was quoted X price. Well, there was no exploration of the fact, did you have long hair? Did you have thick hair? Do you have any special requests with how the hair is blown out? There were no background questions. It was simply a blow dry call. It was like, check it off the list, get it done, get it booked. And here it turned out the woman had long and thick hair, and it was going to take more than just a 30-minute blowout. So when she was charged more, it was a surprise to her because of the way the quote was given to her. So there just wasn't that extra time taken. And, I get that we got people in line. It's season. You got other people backed up. There's phone calls, multiple calls coming in at the same time. But in that moment of check in, check out on the phone, the only thing that matters is the relationship with that guest in that moment, and how important it is to have an impact in whatever way. And because there's no formula, because there's no right way, or there's no manual to say do it this way and this way only, that's got to be where you come in, and your way with wanting to serve people is different. So that's the point of what this is about. And I hate that this is on Zoom, because this is not the way to do this. Because in order for us to interact properly and to have this, everyone be able to understand the impact of this, but be able to generate and share what you're going to be doing and what your role is in this, can't be conveyed on a Zoom screen or a phone or wherever it is, because I think the magnitude of this, or the importance of this, is a lot bigger than just like, because it's so much more than, you're not a receptionist. You're not a money taker. That's so not what the role is. And that's what I want to make sure we interrupt, so that every single phone call, every single guest interaction, there's even if it's just a list, even if it's just the way you're listening to somebody and hearing somebody, so that they're left after the phone call or after the interaction with the experience of that person. There's such a thoughtfulness, a genuine care and concern for me. And I didn't go there expecting that the person who took my money, or the person who set up my future appointment, was that thoughtful for me and about me. And on a Monday morning, and I know it's not Monday, it's Tuesday, but for a lot of you, this is your Monday. First thing after a weekend, and some spring breakers and some coming off spring break, and it being the height of season or the later part of season. And to generate that, takes being with people, but it's why you're in the role that you're in. So I don't know that we're going to have a lot of meat on this call. I don't know how many of you actually did that, but we're going to actually be asking you to, if you're on the phones, that you download a couple of good calls for the week. And I don't mean revolutionary, life-altering calls. I just mean calls that went a particular way, that you turned a situation around, or that you just did an ordinary call, but the call went well, like the interaction was well, it was a new guest and the call went well, or that you did something that was not in the ordinary booking appointment way of having a phone call. The same thing for in the salon. So, coming up with some situations, you have 100 of them a week at minimum, and coming up with a few that you're going to share as part of, oh yeah, this is what I did this week that was impacted somebody's life in a way. And it doesn't need to be, nobody's going to judge it. We're just building a database of what those situations and circumstances are. Hi, Marina. I see that you're on. So I assume that you got things started for Lisa. You're on mute if you're trying to
And
talk.
But
Okay.
I think it's even so
Go ahead.
more than just like well, also even not just even on I not just on the phone, when you're in the salon as well, taking taking the time, every single person that walks in the door, that's what makes this job fulfilling for me, is being able to make people's day. So even if you're like shy and you're not sure what to say or something like that, just being whoever you are, people can feel if you're being like genuine or not. And they it's nerve-wracking when you walk into a salon, especially if somebody's new. You expect everybody to be like, oh, it's like hoity-toity, so that's our job, to create that different atmosphere and to let people know we're not like that, and that we are, that way they feel comfortable talking to us, and that you're their first point of contact, um, at the beginning and at the end. And
Yeah, I would.
oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, Lexi.
No, that's okay.
Like I completely agree with you on that. Like yesterday, we had it was Virginia's last client. She was a haircut, and Virginia's client referred her to Virginia, and um she was entirely grateful for the whole situation. Like I introduced myself to her. She like got even like emotional after like getting her haircut. Because she felt so like she felt like so beautiful, and like she was so like shy in the beginning, but like Virginia and I made sure we did what we had to do for her. Like I made her like a mimosa, and she was entirely grateful for it, and we gifted her a mousse just for coming in, and she was like so like grateful, and like it made me happy, because that's like what we want them to feel good. So I want to put that out there.
It's a good example of it. And, that's the type of thing that we're talking about, of what to bring to the call. Like, what was the event that happened? And it doesn't even need to be that monumental. That was a transformation. That was somebody who got their life transformed. She's not the same person as when she walked in. She feels like a new human, because she has a new look. She feels pretty. She feels sexy. She feels like she's known.
She felt
And
that.
Go ahead.
And also we so just a client that Jasmine did yesterday, Justine, who was supposed to come into the Bayfront location on Saturday, but she wasn't able to get in because there was the art festival. Becca knows this, and she came in yesterday. She was able to like get it rescheduled, and I went up to her and I introduced myself to her, and I was like, I wanted to let you know about everything that happened on Saturday, and she felt like she appreciated me going to her and like introducing myself to her and making sure she was okay, make sure she needed anything. She appreciated that also. So
so even the
kinda,
fact that you knew what the breakdown was and you acknowledged the breakdown with her, so that you knew people were informed, hey, this happened the other day. We're apologizing for it, whatever the case is. It was recognized, and it was handed off to somebody, whether Becca handed it off to you or however that all worked behind the scenes, but it left her known that she mattered, that she's not just another seasonal number where there's 10 more people lined up back there.
Or just another blow dry.
Or just exactly. just another blow dry, which is, you know, a couple of circumstances this time of year where a blowout shows up on the book and it's like just a blowout. It's a new blowout. It's, you know, just a blowout. And it's not always looked at as the meat and potatoes, like, and as the real deal, or do you really matter?
I mean, at the end of the day, blow dries are a lot of what we do, so they keep us going.
Yeah, and it's the gateway. A lot of times people are coming in to test us out. You know, it's a
To just
gateway.
give
It's
it a
the
try, yeah.
open opportunity for us for them to recognize us. And you know, what is going to make us different when that introduction happens? Like, is it just another, you know, place to get your hair cut, or is there something there, someone there that's on the other end, or welcoming me, or interacting with me, that gives a damn? And that's really what it is. And it's not the automated, do you want to drink? um you know, that's a part of it. But if somebody comes into your home and you have you went out and you bought San Pellegrino, Evian water, you bought something special that you have in your fridge, you bought a Corona Light, and you have cut up limes, that's how you're going to introduce it. No different than, yeah, we have water, but saying we have cold filtered water is different than, do you want some water? There, all those little things add up in the guest experience. A mimosa sounds different than, you know, champagne and orange juice. The way we communicate to people and say the things that we're saying add value to it. The offering of, even if it's 10 a.m., the offering of a mimosa or prosecco is something, even if you know they're not going to have a drink like that. The fact that they then know that that's an option when they come to this business, or that it's not just a cup of coffee. I mean, we spend $2,000 a month on coffee, but it's not just coffee. You know, it is a cappuccino. It's a mochaccino. It's a cordita. It's whatever those names are on the machine that make it different. It's Pinot Grigio. It's, you know, you have the people who ask you for a special drink, or
And something
go ahead.
just that with Boulevard, we are given like this go, you know, this is for desk and phones. They're so like getting as much information and keeping that information about a guest. It gives us so much availability to do that here. So even, you know, I try to write as much notes as I can about somebody, because I know I'm not going to remember when that person comes back, or if I'm on phones, like when I see, like, so trying to keep um as much information about them as we can, so then the style, everybody else knows that then, and then next time we know that, and that just makes us that much better at who we are.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, like that gives us the one up on knowing what a guest expectation is, because the note is there, whatever the note might say, that, hey, we have this one little, and that's part of one of the reasons why, you know, we used to pay $300 a month for Timely, and now Boulevard is about $1,600 a month, so it's quite a bit more money, and there's many more there's many more things to do with it that give it that value, but we have to use those things, and that's one of those areas where, you know, we especially want to make sure that we're taking advantage of that, because one of those little moments of knowing what that guest likes to drink and putting it in the notes so that the next person who checks them in has that drink ready for them blows them away. There's something unique and special about that, and we have the time for it. So those things have to be done. It can't just be check in, check out. We're a haircut place and that's it. Because that's not that role. That's not the role that any of you are in. while it may seem like that, like survive the day and just check in, check out, get the next appointment, on to the next, get the drink served. Would you like fries with that? Is what that becomes. It becomes just another phone call. And if that's what it is for you, we've got to look at that, because that can't be what this is. That can't be what this role is at all. That can't be how we operate. We will not, we have such an opportunity to really separate ourselves from the rest of the world. And you're a part of that. So being radically different is the point. So I know we're not going to solve it as an issue here, but this is an opening part of the conversation to make sure that, like, 1 week from now, I want to make sure that you have some of these in your arsenal that you're going to share with us, that what occurred that you shifted, or that they shifted, or that you altered the guest experience in whatever
Even
way
like
that was.
also the little things can radically alter their experience. Like I have a client who comes in, and the first time she came in, she was like, "Do you have soft drinks?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Oh, I'd really like a Coke Zero." Like apparently the only thing, her daughter comes in at the same time as her, and like the only thing she drinks, she's a Coke Zero girl. That's how she gets her water every day. And so every time she comes in, I just pop down to Taroma's and spend $2 and bring her a Coke. And she never drinks the whole thing, but she's always so happy to get it. And so like that is changing her experience every time, because she doesn't expect it. Because the first time she came in, I was like, I don't have soft drinks, but I can see what I can do.
Yeah, and it's going above and beyond and out of the way um to give them something that was a request, that's, anticipating a guest's needs. Like, oh, they have this need. Well, it's not really a need, but it's anticipating something that they want, something that makes a part of their experience delightful, and they feel special because of that. So it's a
It's
perfect
just, it's
example.
not like we have to, for every, every guest, it's not like we have to, I'm going to gift you 50% of your services because you're having, there are small things that can significantly change something
And
for someone.
you're absolutely right. It's always the little things. We get more feedback from people who get a 2-ounce travel size or an 8-ounce shampoo than we do when we gift a $300 service. That's no
Absolutely.
joke. When they leave with a bag with one product in it that's a gift, over a gifting them a $300 service, which literally is just pushing a button. It's different. I mean, it takes more work to gift a product because you have to put it in a bag and put the tissue paper in it, make it look pretty. And there's more of a reaction from people who get a gift of something to walk out there with than a $300. So, or a $2 Coke
Because
Zero.
it's tangible.
Yeah. So it's all things, and some of them not even involving. That's why there's no manual. That's why I'm asking you to be out there and helping us build this library of experiences. What are those things that you're doing throughout the week that we come back and talk about, so that 50% of our team, more than that, is under a year with us. So in our book, that's very little experience in this world, that we have to spend more time on developing what the actions are and what the ways are, and give you more tools so that you have more experience, or you have more of a background of knowledge of how this works and how we expect you to work, being here and being a part of this. So, you're all very successful at what you do, and anyone here less than a year, you've got, somebody's been here 5 years, has had thousands of more interactions with guests to know thousands of more circumstances and how to handle those. So we're trying to ramp up the experience level so that you can have the kind of impact today, and not when the breakdown happens, that you start having that impact right now. And anybody who's even been here 15 or 20 years or 10 or 5 or however many months still is learning and getting new tools in the toolbox every single day, because there's just new interactions and new experiences and new breakdowns and new breakthroughs and new things happening all the time. So this is a call. If you dropped off the call and you're listening to this again, there's an expectation that I have from you that every single day you are writing down what's remarkable about that day, noting it so that we can have a conversation about this next Tuesday. What was remarkable? What made a difference? And by remarkable, I don't mean earth shattering. I just mean something that you're going to share on here. It could be earth shattering, but it could be just something really simple. It could be that you walked somebody to the car with an umbrella. It could be that you know, gave somebody a hot towel.
Last week, I don't know, maybe last week before, Mickey was talking to somebody and they were the mother of the bride, and I don't know what their conversation was, but she was looking up stores in the village to buy a dress from, and Mickey was texting me in the middle of the phone call asking me what stores, and so I'm Googling it because I don't really know either, but that made that woman's day. Mickey called her right back and gave her a whole list of stores, and she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's a little thing that makes somebody's day. She's listening to what she has going on.
Yeah. And another like little thing was yesterday, for instance, a client called and she said, I came in to see Virginia and she tried this product and I don't know what it is and I want it. So I looked, and in the notes, Virginia put in the product, she put the suggested product, that it was the leave-in. I mean, that was phenomenal. Normally I would be like, I'm so sorry, I don't know, let me talk to her, get back to you. But it was right there. Such a small thing, you wouldn't even think about it, but she had it. She's like, oh great, do you have it? Can I pop in right now and get it? I said, yes, absolutely. So she came in and bought it. I mean, that's amazing. Just a tiny little thing that we don't have to do the runaround and, have to give them a call back or anything. It was right there and ready.
Ask 10 people before we get there, and then they're not.
Right. And then they don't remember. Exactly. They're like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just something to keep in mind. Yeah. If somebody brought up a product for you, to introduce to a client, or just spoke about it and the client said, maybe I'll try it next time, go ahead and put it right in there just so we have it.
Well, and that's part of like the 6 steps too. Sometimes like when we're doing the 6 steps, I'll even tell them if when the products are right there, I'm like, oh, this is what she recommended, but we're just going to put it in your notes just so we have it. Like, so then it kind of makes it not so, it has ease into it of why the products are there when they bring them up.
Yeah, and there's actually a spot to put recommended products in the system, aside from notes, which will automatically pull it up.
Yes, yeah. If you go into actual products, it'll give you the history, and there's a little place for suggested products. So put that in there. That's how I found it the other day.
So, and that's one of those little things that you may not see the return on that right away. You might be putting those in every day, like for 5 guests a day. And if that's the thing that you come back to the call with, like, hey, I did that on every guest last week, great. Because somewhere down the line, somebody's going to do that. They're going to say, hey, somebody just like the guest that you had yesterday.
And this is also a good thing to remind our associates about as well, with, they're supposed to be doing at the bowl, talking about the products they're using and everything. So, when we're back there confirming, like, these are the services, I've pre-booked them, like, just check in also with the associate or the stylist about the product. Because if they can also be adding it, then everybody needs to hold each other accountable too.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is, because and that's just as much making a difference as the interaction with the guest, and that is holding the rest of the team to account for, hey, I have a responsibility to make a recommendation to the guest of when to come back in and what products to use. And I don't know what products they should use because I don't have them up here. So, hey, if you've got the time back there at the bowl, I am expecting you to be bringing those products up to the front desk. And that's an expectation from all of them. So that's not a when they feel like it, and we allow it like that and make it okay, but that skips out on the guest experience. It actually takes away from what your role is supposed to be. So when you allow it, it is a breakdown in the whole chain. So not letting that be okay. And I think it's a great point that they not do their job because they had to get back to their papas fritas or whatever it was that they were eating in the back room and they didn't have time to bring up the shampoo and the conditioner that were used at the bowl. So, if that's the thing that you come back with next Tuesday, great. That you were diligent about making sure that every one of them brought those up, because that impacts the guest experience just as well as everything else, because we have to skip. That's a step skipped. Or this happens, they'll go, what was that product they used on me? Then you got to leave, go back, hunt whoever down who did the service and figure out what it was, and then go back up. Meanwhile, somebody else is up front. It takes time away from another guest when it could have been done from the beginning. So one more thing that adds to that, and that is holding the people around you to account the same way.
Something, two things I was thinking too. Also, what for with between Becca and Marina, us, seniors, I want to work on coming up with some sort of system, so that, because I realize I think sometimes it's got missing like the training portion, but I want to come up with something like, because a lot of, when stylists will come up to the desk, and they'll say, oh, can you move my whole book up, or can you cancel this person, or can you do XYZ, and that person's never done that before, so then they kind of just come up with a way to do it because the stylist is asking them. But I want to come up with a way, so then they have a way of knowing how to communicate to the guest XYZ, or can you come at this time, because I realized they might not know how to communicate that stuff, or like giving them options, or so just something I want to think about between us all for next week.
Yeah, and a lot of these things are things that have either been breakdowns, or things that, hey, we haven't trained people. We haven't put any training in place. We've just said, all right, here's your 2 days, 3 days, 5 days. Now have at it, and we hope the rest is on the job training. And it's not, it can't be. And we have to ongoingly have this conversation, ongoingly make sure that everyone is aware that it's not just, it hasn't devolved, and we haven't devolved into just another hair salon. And that's what we'll become. And then we're just ordinary, and then it's just no big deal. And then, we're not any different than any other one. We come just another commodity, just like when somebody goes to get gas for their car, gas is gas. You put your card in the machine, you just get the gas, and it's no big deal. It doesn't matter where you go. So, we have to be the only place that people want to go to. And your role in that is what matters most. So every one of you, your role matters. And we want to make sure that you're making that kind of difference, and that you have everything that you need, the tools, so that you're hunting out those experiences. So the 100 people that we see today get impacted. The 100 phone calls that come in today, those people get impacted. So there's that ripple effect. So those of you that are watching the replay, you made it this far. So I know what your responsibility is today and every day this week. And then when we have this call next week, or whether we do it in person on a Monday, where there's a training day, which is coming too, we will be looking forward to gathering and collecting our list. Phone calls the same way. When you have a call that goes that particular way, download the call, mark the call. So we have our database of training calls. We'll use them as training calls or sharing calls, so that everyone has ideas, because there's not just one way to do any of this.
And really quick too, something I was just thinking of, just so everybody, and I'm not sure everybody even knows this, that it's really easy when, let's say there's a new guest and you're on the phone and they say, oh, so and so referred me. It's so easy to put that in under their name. It's like one of the third things. It'll say like guest, and then you can put the guest name, because that's more information as well. or like when somebody comes in and they're new and you're referring them to somebody, and they have long hair and they want a pixie cut, like writing that down. So then the stylist then knows, it just gives them a little bit more of a heads up. Or if they're new and they're getting foils, and they told you exactly what they want, they sent a picture, adding that picture in there. So then that makes us just 100 times more ready for what's coming, you know.
Yeah. And even if you don't answer the calls right now, like that applies to you just as well. If you're booking a walk-in, or if we do have you, as some of you will be getting trained in taking calls. So you want to be aware of that too. So that's not just for the people who are taking calls right now. That's for everyone. Make sure you're aware of that all those little notes matter and all that information matters. And having somebody send a picture is absolutely critical. Any new guest that's getting more than a blowout, having them send a picture is a really good idea. It gives us a lot more of a heads up to make their experience better too.
And I always say that, I say it, like, we're gonna send you a confirmation text in just a moment, and you can actually respond right to that text. And if you can send a picture of your hair currently and a picture of what you're looking to have done, like a desired photo look, then and you can send it right to that number that you got the confirmation on.
Okay, everybody have what they need for the week.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, good.
Got it.
10-4.
Who is who is at the village this morning?
Charlie and Lexi.
Okay. Message me when we lost Sophia somewhere on the call. I thought maybe she went to greet the CenturyLink guy. So
Oh, I would be happy if we were greeting the century.
yeah,
that'd be
message me.
Yeah,
message
he's
me.
not here. He's not. Yeah, he's not here yet.
Okay. You let me know when he is. All right,
Okay.
everybody else, thank you so much. I look forward to all the good things that come out of your experiences this week. Oh, Gustavo, I don't see you either, so I will see you on the replay. All right, have a great week. Have a great day. Love you guys. See ya.
happy.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye,
Bye.
cute. Oh, bye.
Bye.